I am friends with them. I spend time with them, so I have some nuggets. Is that how you call them? Like pieces of information? Delicious nuggets of information to share with you. He loves being naked and make your life miserable. But that's just a reflection of everyone's experience. She has the mind and she has the strength that sitting down and do nothing is an extremely hard skill. Going to the woods very quietly, disappearing into the woods. In which I have a question for you. What would you do?
Welcome to the wild.
In this video, I'm going to be reviewing episode 2 of Alone Season 10. We're going to be taking a look into Melanie's journey, Wyatt, Taz, Jody, Mikey, and Anne.
Alright, since I'm still here on the Cape, I'm going to just do episode 2 review. So, in episode 2 of Alone Season 10, by the way, welcome to my channel again. And try, subscribe, touch the little belt, the bell, so you can get a notification of my future videos. And welcome to the wild. And my name is Taz. I'm season 10 of Alone participant. And let's talk about season 10 of Alone, episode number 2. In this episode, we're going to be talking about 5 participants, right? The other 5 participants. So we're going to talk about Wyatt, okay? Wyatt and his success fishing, as well as the wind that was like ravaged, his shelter, almost blowing it away. But I think he handled that pretty well. We're going to talk about Mikey and when he got lost in the woods and how that affected him, right? We're going to talk about Melanie and, her shelter building. But also we're going to touch upon how the show didn't spend a lot of time on her and how us as a viewers, like, we were left like wanting more. Her opening scenes is kind of funny in a way. She's like peeing, and then there's her shelter. She also see the geese. It's a beautiful scene, and get her all pumped up to finish her shelter. But still, we're going to talk about the editing choices. That sometimes it seems not to make a lot of sense. But we don't know, exactly why they make the choice they make. Because it's just one episode out of many other episodes. So then we're going to talk about, Jody, right? Yes, Jody. We're going to talk about Jody and her strategy on really focus on the log cabin and making sure that she has a good shelter. We're going to talk about me and in the projects that I was doing there, my success with fish, like a big ass fish, and also the fire that took down my improvised smoker. We're going to talk about that, and also we're going to also talk about how the show just jumped right, in my experience, at day, if I'm not mistaken, day 6 or 7. They didn't show any shelter building on my end, but I gotta say it was a fucking awesome opening. I kind of we're gonna talk about that. Okay. All right. Just again, I'm friends with all the participants in the show, and like just Cade in his video on his channel said, I have nothing but love to all of the participants, and I echo that. However, I'm also gonna give my opinion because you're here in this channel to hear what I have to say, isn't it? And I am friends with them. I spend time with them, so I have some nuggets. Is that how you call them? Like pieces of information? Delicious nuggets of information to share with you and my relationship with them. I have a very good relationship with them. and looking forward for that relationship to just kind of flourish and grow, you know. So I have that perspective that I'd love to share with you. So stick around, make sure you subscribe, share with friends. I'm new to this YouTube thing, so um, you know, I'd love to have you here more often, and I can build this relationship with you. Just let's now jump right in. Wyatt, right? Wyatt's a wild man. Wyatt is a wild man. Wyatt, I mean, I had a lot of story with him, and actually, he gave me a lure that when we were at the lodge, we could fish and test the waters quite literally. And I was the only one that got a pike out of everyone that was fishing, and he gave me that lure. So I have that kind of like, good vibe, good connection, right from the get go. And we see him, going in the water naked. Of course, he loves being naked. If he's great. Like I just, I love that. I don't even have words to describe much. But so we're gonna talk about Wyatt and his success. Right, he got a fish. He got a beautiful pike. Right, and he smoked that to perfection. And not just that, he got very good shots showing that. I was really pleased on the shots that he got, because just looking at his smoked fish, you want to eat it because it was like this nice golden color, it's beautiful. He's working with the shelter and he says, I'm going to build a shelter to handle the wind. It's very Wyatt style. The wind is almost blowing everything out. So it's a lot of lessons in there. I got to tell you, if you shelter or not sheltered by trees, there's no, like, the wind is going to just blow hard and make your life miserable. And he for sure had a couple nights that was miserable. And I shared that with him. The thing is, like, the show showed just him facing that, but I think most people were facing the same thing because it was very early on. We didn't have a lot of like strong support on the tarp yet. We had not experienced that wind yet. I think everyone was having that like floppy crap piece of tarp, But the show cannot show that everyone's in that situation. Although the show could, but like just shows kind of like him to kind of exemplify that, right? You have to keep your perspective really, really open and understand that sometimes the show will show something about one participant, but that's just a reflection of everyone's experience potentially. So that's very interesting that they showed him in that situation. What was it? And also the position of his shelter, it was sort of open, hard to see how much tree shelter he had. But it was beautiful to see. Also, he gave him getting a fish. It was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. Also, we have Jody, working on her shelter, and she's going for it. She's going for a log cabin, and it looks pretty cool. It looks very well done, very well built. Um, and you have to understand that part of her strategy, like she had, I think, 70 pounds above her normal weight. I mean, if when she builds a log cabin, then she's gonna get some food, but she won't need like a ton of food. She's gonna need some food to keep her spirit up, to keep her organs and everything moving, and working properly. But she can do Juan Pablo, of season, if I'm not mistaken, season 9. She can do Juan Pablo style kind of survival because she has the mind and she has the strength, right? And she has the body to do that. Not everyone can do that. It's very hard mentally. I think that is a skill. It's not the most hot skill, you know. We all want to see people thriving and getting fish and like, being creative. But you have to remember that sitting down and doing nothing is an extremely hard skill. I truly believe that. I truly believe that. And some people just cannot function that way. They need to be creative. They need to be moving. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. So that's Jody's kind of journey in that, like building the log cabin, just getting in touch with the environment, making bed with like the moss, the reindeer, what do you call it? Moss, reindeer moss, which you can also eat as food. Um, yeah. So then we have Melanie, in which, as I mentioned before, she did not have a lot of uh, screen time. It's weird, like what's going on? What's the idea behind that, right? And she see all the geese is moving and get even more pumped to finish her shelter. It shows you like a connection to nature, right? Like following the movement around you. You see the geese moving, you know, uh, 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 then the geese moving south, and right. I do not know a lot about geese, but I'm sure they're moving south. That's the sign that the winter is coming, isn't it? And she, yeah, she get going on her shelter and it looks pretty cool. She's putting moss, make sure that's tight, so to hold as much heat as possible. Her shelter looks different. I cannot tell exactly the model what she's really doing there. And if you know, just put in the comments, really, so we all learn together here. Her shelter is slightly different than most shelter that I have seen. So let's keep an eye on her and follow that progress. But I was missing a lot of her presence and things that she was doing, and fishing, which is where I would love to see her like fishing and doing all the things, right? I think maybe you guys also missed a lot of, like, it was weird that she just came up, and then yeah, there was not enough for her, I think. And then, and what else? So what else we have there? We said Wyatt, we said Jody, we said Melanie. Oh yes, Mikey. Mike is one of my favorite participants, and he's very funny, and like a big heart he has, and he gets lost. Gotta tell you, it's very easy to get lost on those woods. Everything looks the same, and when you get lost, the moss are so deep that for me it's just kind of like sucks life out of you. Like, feels that way, I swear. Like when you walk, it feels that every step the moss is just like sucking the energy out of you, you know and it's very easy to get lost in those woods. um, and then that he find his bearings, right? He find his bearings. uh, I think at the end of that episode you see him, like, throwing up, and like that he got a grouse, right? He was super pumped. Then he got sick. And that it's something interesting on the show. Like, I believe that if you suffer in the beginning, you go through that, I think there's a lot of benefits to that. Let me know what you think. What kind of benefit would that be? I personally think there is something about it, like that mentally does something to you, right? If you suffer in the beginning, then I think whatever suffering come after, you have a reference point, and a medium kind of suffering is not a big deal because you already had a tough time. So relatively, another suffering that's the same, it's not a big deal. It's not a big suffering, because you already went through something hard. So I don't know. Do you think that will affect him? I do think that will affect him in a positive way if he overcomes that. But he might just tap out. I don't know either. So right there. So let's jump into Anne. Anne was the first person that I saw at the airport from this cast of season 10 of Alone. I would look at each other and we were like, oh, you Tess, you Anne, and we sort of like had this, like, we know each other somehow. It was amazing. I really connected to her. in the camp as well. Uh, I like her farming style. It reminds me of the way I farm as well. Super hands-on, super like low tech, like really passionate about the earth and about the soil, the life in the soil. You know, uh, she's a farmer, like a strong farmer, right? And very good with her bow, and she know what she's doing, right? And we see her, and we see the job shock, and the job shock is like you're ready to for that experience, and then suddenly you're dropped there, and then you're like, holy fuck, this is real, because all throughout you're like, is this a dream, like, but then reality hits you, and you're like, wow, game on, right? That's the name of the first episode, and there she is, and she, I think the show chose that moment with her about the drop shock because something that we all experience. So I think it was a good example. I think she's very funny, has a very interesting sense of humor. She start her shelter right away, um, and although in this first episode, the show they didn't really show her fishing as much, but upon talking with her, she was really fishing a lot. I mean, you're on a lake, right? Full, there's a lot of fish out there. You have to figure out where the fish exactly are. But everyone's sort of fishing a lot, even though you might not see them fishing that much. Some people fish more than others. Some people get more frustrated faster. But you have to understand that everyone is going for fish. So even if you don't see it, you have to assume that, like, those people are knowing what they're doing. They might not get everything right. They might make mistake or make different decisions. But trust me, we spend a lot of time studying and getting ready for this. We are chosen from 40 fucking thousand people. Okay, stick with us. It's gonna be okay. So it's very cool. And again, I'm doing this just by memory. I didn't, I just watched the episode in like no, it's just like a while ago, and I'm doing it by memory, so I might be missing things. So I'm sorry, you guys, participant, if I missed something there. Okay, I'm just in Cape Cod, on the middle of the woods here. It's just doing by memory. So hang on tight with me. I love you guys. Okay, let's get to my piece of it. Um, the show doesn't even show me like building shelter. Show me at day 7, maybe, or day 6. I don't know. So much had happened since then. Until then, up to then. You help me here, okay? Um, Before day 7 or 6 or whatever, so much had happened. So much. I hope they show some of it so I can talk about it, but I cannot say anything now. You saw that I came out of my shelter. You saw that part. And let's be honest, I think that was the best opening of this season. I think. Me coming out of the shelter, hearing the red squirrel, they're kind of small. Getting my bow and arrows just in the inches of my shelter. Going to the woods very quietly, disappearing into the woods, shooting one arrow, missing it, shooting a second arrow, nailing it. That was amazing, right? It was a great opening. It was fun. Of course, I brought the tarp. I have to be honest with you. I didn't wanted to build a canoe at all. I did not want to build a canoe, right? I did not. Like, why? If I'm catching, look, I just want to tie a piece of line into a hook, make a lure, and start fishing. Fuck building stuff. I do not want to do that. But guess what? I know the fish has lake. I need to get to deep water. And I need to use my canoe as a transport as well. And one more little thing. I want to also use my canoe to expand my territory into the water for fun as well. Because a bad day and you go out in the water and you have fun, it does something to you. Maybe not the same thing that the food would do, but it's pretty close to that. So it's a multi-layer strategy, right? Also have a tarp. When the water freezes, can I use that tarp for something? Would you use that tarp for something else? It's a lot of possibility, isn't it? And I left my saw behind, as I shared on my, the video that I'm explaining explaining about my items. Shared with you that I left my saw behind. I tell you, I didn't miss my saw at all. You know, I was didn't regret that choice up to this point. And of course, I built my gill net. The show just makes everything looks like magic. It's a lot of work. But one thing that I also said that you also notice is like every project that I will do will not take more than 2 days. And I'm not saying that I'm going to just abandon projects that didn't finish in 2 days. I might, but that's not exactly what I mean. What I mean is every project I'm going to do, I will know in my mind, and that I will take 2 days. I want to make as simple as possible without losing the functionality. All my projects will be made in 2 days or less. So I build a canoe and less than 2 days. In 2 days, but really the first day, half of the day or more, I was brainstorming and solving problems as I start building it. And then the next day, I just finished the whole canoe, test drive at the end of the day, ready to go. I built a gill net. I set up my gill net. Funny thing is, yeah, I set up my gill net on a certain spot and it was bad. Eventually I set up at that place that you see me setting up, and I didn't get on the first day. Then the next day, I got the fish. But you didn't hear me saying none of that. Just watch the show and follow what they're selling there. But there is what I'm trying to say. There is process. It's an editing. And like it's summarized into the most important components. And if I was going to edit, I would do the same thing. But there is more to that, and that I would like you to be aware. And I will share more details later on. I got the big fish, 20-pound trout, like 20 pounds trout. That's a big ass trout, right? I got that with my gill net. And I was happy I got with the gill net, because if it was with a fishing rod or a line, I think that trout would break my line, because it's a very big fish. And it was a male trout, actually. So I get that, and I smoke. And the show shows you me smoking, and the next morning going to warm up some food and burn the smoker with the fish and all. Which I have a question for you. If you were smoking a fish of that size, what would you do if your smoker catch on fire?
Welcome to the wild.